Welcome to Latest News Blaster. If you want daily real celebrity news, subscribe now. For decades, Tom Cruise has been one of the most visible men in Hollywood, and paradoxically, one of the most private when it comes to his personal life. From box office dominating franchises to high-risk stunts that redefine action cinema, Cruise's public image has always been meticulously controlled. Yet one subject has remained conspicuously absent from his interviews, red carpets and press tours: his relationship with his daughter, Suri. That silence has fueled years of speculation, debate, and quiet discomfort among fans and critics alike. Now, for the first time in years, Tom Cruise has addressed the topic, briefly, carefully, and in a way that many are finding difficult to process. What he said wasn't explosive, it wasn't dramatic, but it was revealing in its restraint. And that's exactly why the reaction has been so intense. A silence that spoke louder than words. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes welcomed their daughter, Suri, in 2006 at the height of Cruise's global fame. The world watched closely as the couple navigated intense media scrutiny, public fascination, and a highly publicized relationship. When Holmes filed for divorce in 2012, the split was swift, quiet, and notably controlled. Since then, Suri has lived largely outside the public eye, with her mother in New York. Cruise, meanwhile, continued building one of the most successful late-career runs in Hollywood history. What stood out wasn't just the separation. It was Cruise's near-total silence about his daughter. Over the years, journalists learned not to ask. Interviews stayed focused on films, stunts, and craft. Red carpet questions avoided family topics. Even in long, reflective conversations, Cruise consistently redirected away from personal matters. For fans, the absence became impossible to ignore, the moment everyone noticed. The renewed attention began after Cruise participated in a recent, wide-ranging interview meant to celebrate his career milestones and upcoming projects. While discussing legacy, longevity, and what motivates him to keep pushing boundaries, the conversation briefly touched on family. When asked about fatherhood in general terms, Cruise paused, longer than usual. What followed wasn't a detailed explanation or emotional confession. Instead, he offered a measured response about respecting privacy, focusing on his work, and believing that everyone deserves the freedom to grow outside of public narratives. He did not name Suri directly. He did not describe their relationship. But for the first time in years, he did not completely deflect the subject either. That alone was enough to send shockwaves through entertainment media. Why fans say the truth is hard to hear. The difficulty for many fans wasn't what Cruise said, it was what he didn't. In an era where celebrities often overshare their lives on social media, Cruise's approach feels almost anachronistic. His statement emphasized boundaries, independence, and personal space. To him, it appeared thoughtful and intentional. To some viewers, it felt emotionally distant. Social media reactions poured in within hours. Some praised Cruise for protecting his daughter from the pressures of fame, arguing that privacy can be a form of care. Others, however, expressed sadness, interpreting the response as confirmation of a long-suspected emotional gap. "It feels like he's choosing silence over connection," one commenter wrote. Another added, "You can respect privacy and still acknowledge love." The divide was immediate and deeply personal for many who have followed Cruise's career for decades. A career built on control. To understand why this moment resonated so strongly, it helps to understand Tom Cruise himself. Cruise has long been known for discipline, structure, and an intense focus on his craft. His reputation for preparation, precision, and control is legendary. Those same qualities have helped him maintain relevance in an industry that often discards its stars. But control, when applied to personal narratives, can feel cold to audiences accustomed to vulnerability. Unlike many of his peers, Cruise has never rebranded himself through public confession or emotional reinvention. He doesn't do tell-all interviews. He doesn't write memoirs. His identity is the work. That strategy has worked, until now, the weight of public expectation. Part of why the reaction has been so strong is because of what people expect from famous parents. Audiences tend to project their own values onto celebrities, especially those they've grown up watching. Cruise isn't just a movie star to many. He's a cultural fixture, someone whose films are woven into their memories. When such a figure appears emotionally reserved about something as universally relatable as parenthood, It challenges those projections. It's uncomfortable, one entertainment analyst noted. Not because he owes us details, but because we're reminded that fame doesn't guarantee the emotional narratives we expect. Katie Holmes' quiet contrast. Adding to the complexity is the contrast between Cruz's silence and Katie Holmes' approach. Holmes has consistently kept Suri out of the spotlight, but she has also spoken, gently and occasionally, about motherhood, growth, and gratitude. Her comments have been warm, grounded, and reflective. That difference in tone has amplified public perception, even though both parents appear committed to privacy. The comparison isn't necessarily fair, but it's unavoidable. Hollywood reacts carefully. Within the industry, reactions have been notably restrained. Several insiders have pointed out that Cruz has always drawn firm boundaries between his work and his personal life. Others emphasize that absence from public commentary does not equate to absence of care. One veteran publicist explained, "Tom Cruise believes deeply in separating performance from personal reality. He always has. This moment didn't break that rule, it just made it visible. Still, visibility changes everything. The cost of saying less." In many ways, Cruz's statement reflects a broader cultural tension. Today's audiences often equate authenticity with openness. Silence can be misinterpreted as avoidance, and restraint can be mistaken for indifference. But there is also a growing conversation about whether public figures should be pressured into sharing family dynamics at all, especially when children are involved. Cruz's words, sparse as they were, seem to push back against that pressure. And yet, the emotional response suggests that people wanted reassurance more than explanation. What this means for his legacy. At 60 plus, Tom Cruise is no longer just a star, he's a legacy figure. Every statement or lack thereof is now viewed through the lens of how history will remember him. This moment won't define his career, but it may humanize it in an unexpected way, not through warmth, but through discomfort. Sometimes the hardest truths aren't scandalous or dramatic. Sometimes they're quiet, and quiet can be unsettling. Final thoughts. Tom Cruise didn't reveal secrets. He didn't tell a story. He didn't even offer clarity. What he did offer was a glimpse into how he navigates boundaries, personally and professionally. For some, that was respectful. For others, heartbreaking. The truth, as many fans are realizing, isn't that something terrible was said. It's that something deeply human was left unsaid. And for an audience that has watched Tom Cruise defy gravity, outrun explosions, and